right, so the next topic we're going to talk about is one of the most challenging concepts when it comes to math in terms of graph reading. We are going to talk about domain and range. Okay, so the domain describes the left-right part of the graph, whereas the range describes the low-high part of the graph. So if I were to talk about the domain here, you're basically taking a look at the region that your graph covers. And so since we're only talking about polynomials, the domain of a polynomial, the domain of a polynomial will always be the same, because we know that polynomials are continuous. And what do I mean by continuous? They're going up, they're going down to low, they're going high to down. It doesn't matter. They're always going on forever. It doesn't matter what direction. So because polynomials are continuous, the domain is always written as negative infinity to infinity, because it describes the set of x values. But the domain will always be written in the order of the lowest number to highest number. So the lowest is negative infinity to infinity. And that will always be the case for polynomials. Okay? And so the reason is that my graph will, so for this first graph, it will continue on forever in the left direction and continue on forever in the right direction. My next graph continues on forever in the left, on forever in the right, on forever in the left, on forever to the right, on forever to the left, on forever to the right. And so notice, it's going on forever in both the left and right directions. So that's why the domain is negative infinity to infinity. But now the tricky part is the range part. So the range describes the set of y values, or the set of outputs. So what you were describing is you are describing the lowest y value of the graph to the highest y value of the graph. So the lowest y value to the highest y value. So notice the domain only described your x, range describes your y. And so this gets a little tricky because your graph could look all different ways. So if I were to give you this example, my lowest y in this case is an arrow from negative infinity, and my highest arrow is positive infinity. Okay? Now what about the same graph going the other way? Same exact thing. My lowest y is negative infinity, and my highest y is positive infinity. Now this starts to get tricky when you get different shaped graphs. So now what about when I have a parabola? What is my lowest y value here? Well, my lowest y value is this minimum. It's blank comma blank. So you're going to use whatever this y value is to your highest value, which my arrows point up to positive infinity. So my range of this value would be my y coordinate, would be y min to infinity. Now, what about if I have my parabola going down? Okay, so now this one goes down. And so this one again, same thing. What is my lowest value here? My lowest value is an arrow going down from negative infinity, and my highest is my max value, right? So to find the range of this function, it would be from negative infinity to the max value of the y. Sorry, that says y up there too. So let's go ahead and use these ideas. So notice we either have negative infinity to infinity, we have our y min to infinity, or we have negative infinity to our y max. Okay, it all depends on the picture. So let's go over a couple of functions. So here's my first function. Here I have to find my minimum. So my minimum is this point here, which is located at 4, -6, right, if I read the graph. So this -6 is going to be included in my range, And then I take a look at the highest point. Well, the highest point are both arrows going up, which goes to positive infinity. So now let's put this together. My range is going to be from -6, which is my minimum, to infinity, which is my maximum, my highest point. And to cover domain again, it's always going to be -infinity, infinity, no matter which way the graph is facing. Okay, so I'm only going to focus on range here. So now range of this graph. Well, my lowest are both of these arrows that go down from -infinity. And the highest, someone just came to my room, highest is this point up here, which is my maximum. And this max occurs at 3, 5. Okay? And so again, we are only going to focus on the y value here, which is 5. So now let's put this together at the range. My lowest point is down here, which is -infinity, to my highest point, which is located at 5. All right, let's keep going then. I'm going to erase that graph. I'm going to draw my own after that. So this one, let's go ahead and talk about it. My lowest point, well, if I follow this graph down, the lowest is down here, which is -infinity. And if I follow my graph, if you could see me, I'm going to trace my graph. And as I trace it, it's going up to positive infinity. So now go ahead and write your range, your lowest point, which is -infinity, to your highest point, which is infinity. All right, and so let's go ahead and I'm going to quickly sketch a function. All right, this is one that usually gives kids trouble. Sorry if you can't draw this, but you see it. So let's start with the lowest value. So again, the range. My lowest are these arrows that are going down. And now be careful, what is the absolute highest point of your graph? So my maximum occurs up here. And so where is this maximum at? Well, it looks like it's at -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So now once I locate my max, again, I'm talking about range, which is my 5 value. So put this together, it would go from -infinity to my max value of 5. And there we go.